Well, the fixture gods have blessed us in the new season because we've only had to wait until round 2 for our first taste of Derby Day in the city of St George. St George City taking on St George FC, the latest instalment of this regional rivalry contested between the established power of the local area of local NSL fame against its young, ambitious upstart. Both of them meeting at the intersection of the top flight of New South Wales for the third successive season. 2 seasons that have started very differently after the opening round of 2026. St George City returning home to Penshurst Park in need of a response after a disappointing derby or opening day defeat to Manly United. Pressure on Miko Ural's side already to produce a performance at Penshurst Park today against their noisy neighbours St George FC, who were noisy for all the right reasons last week. 3-0 winners against the Wollongong Wolves. An eyebrow-raising result and perhaps an expectation-raising result for those around NPL New South Wales as to what Raphael Marie's team may be capable of in the new campaign. So contrasting starts to the season for both sides of the St George Derby divide. And they do always say that if there is one match for which you throw recent results away, it is Derby Day. And St George City will be hoping that that is true as they look to put on a show in front of their home faithful and continue their otherwise strong run of recent results in the St George Derby. They have lost this one just once in the last 8 head-to-head meetings, albeit that was the last time these two went head-to-head at Penshurst Park last season. So we've only played 1 game's worth of football for both of these sides, but this is as important a St George derby in the top flight as ever. It's the home side, St George City, who get us kicked off for it. And we mentioned the disappointment, the frustration of that opening day defeats at the hands of Manly United. Miko Ural has made 3 changes from that side. In comes Stefano Rossello, Brody Clarkson and Hugo McAteer. As Peterson was looking to twist and turn, Zamoto drives it out for a St George City corner. Those 3 have come into the side. Ben Berry and Jesse Foti both dropping to the bench. Tef, who was involved in that late after the full-time whistle altercation with former keeper of both of these clubs, Mackenzie Siron, has dropped out of the squad altogether. St George City with the first corner of the evening. A good crowd has closed in on Penshurst Park to take in the Derby Day action. In comes the corner, towards the front post it goes, not fully cleared by St George FC. And McStay can only buy time for the defence. It's going to be coming back in. Another decent cross. Peterson trying to break away into open space, and Jaden Sito makes a more convincing clearance. For St George FC, well, you could be forgiven for thinking that Raphael Marie would go with an unchanged lineup after that emphatic win against Wollongong. 2 changes he makes, one very big one as well. Nick Soros, who has made the short trip to St George FC from Rockdale, Illingdon for this season, comes into goal having missed the opening round, so Sebastian Laluz drops to the bench. Hard luck after keeping a clean sheet. And young Kota Toyuka, their reigning under-20s player of the season, makes his first start of the year in place of Caden Wright. Another early corner for St George City. Peterson, the player, lurking, and it will be a 3rd in a matter of moments for the home side. A bright start and a solid response so far to a frustrating opening round display. Will it be 3rd time's the charm for St George City? the same area as well. D'Amato still getting the eye in on his set-piece deliveries. Great to have your company if you're tuning in on the NPL New South Wales YouTube channel. And it's swinging towards the front post again. McAteer and Solomon John Monaghan Viker contested. D'Amato looking to do it in the ground. Can't. Another corner coming, and he is going to cede authority for the set-piece delivery to another one of the many new men that the St George City faithful will get to see tonight, Stefano Rossello. His delivery is into the exact same spot. And now the foot race is on between the pace of Justin Poon and the St George City defenders. In the end, Nico Ural's team able to close their ranks. St George looking to launch it long. It's an easy collection for Jack Kenny. They were a little on the lethargic side last week at Cromer Park. St George City. Fairly competitive opening 20 minutes against Manly United. But carved open a few too many times in this 5 at the back, or 3 at the back formation that they were rolling with. Just not able to muster up enough in attack. Mackenzie Siron barely required to make a save. Jaden Casella picked off by D'Amato. That's well won by Stefano Rossello, but FC able to retrieve possession only momentarily. Jake True thought that a free kick perhaps should have been coming his way. That's the case he's making to the referee, Matt Staples. Daniel Kornowski and Braden McDonald, the assistants today. James Macris is the 4th official. Great to see just how many juniors have poured into Penshurst today. Casella. Left-footed cross. Will it stay in play for Poon? Yes, he is able to keep it alive. The flag stayed down. Cito. And now the NPL New South Wales marquee man, Terry Antonis, looking to tee up McStay. And such a headline acquisition on the eve of the season. Terry Antonis got an hour plus in last week in what was his first game of football in 10 months. An injury sustained in his last professional stint in Thailand that required surgery. Great to have him in this competition this season. The 3-time Socceroo, 1-time A-League champion, still only 32. Gracing us with his presence in the competition this year. Up and away by Michio. Second ball is always so important in a derby. It's Peterson who's able to win this one. Rossello. Oh, rounds his marker with ease. Really good stuff from the new man from Manly. McAteer lifts it in. Peterson's there, but it's a comfortable claim and a confident one at that from Nick Soros. It may seem harsh on Seb Laluz to keep a clean sheet in the opening game of the season and see himself displaced for Nick Soros, but such is the quality of the former Illingdon and Olympic shot stopper. Might be called into action here as McAteer is marching forward. Hugo McAteer still going, but shown where to head by Jaden Cito. Really good defending from the young fullback. Plenty of early energy in the St George derby, lacking major chances, but Promising signs of what could come on Derby Day in St George. As mentioned, it is a rivalry that's in nearly 10 years now of its existence, albeit these two didn't get to play until 2019 against one another, but St George were rising through the ranks from their establishment in 2016, City that is. They have had the better of it. They've got a good free kick whipped in here. No players able to get a strike away. Rossello dinking it into the back post. Urchan, the former St George FC man, keeping it alive. Peterson on the turn. Another St George City FC block. McAteer moving with menace and winning another corner. They've had 5 already. And we have not even hit the 10th minute mark of Saturday night action here in NPL New South Wales. St George FC, just the one win in 8 on Derby Day. 11 meetings all time. St George City winning 5 to FC's 3. Great ball in this time. Still the same result. Soros is being worked under it. Urchan trying to stab it in. And punting it clear is Chris McStay. High ball from Jack Kenny. He's retreating with real pace. And few will know the intensity and fire of St George Derby Day better than the City captain, Tanak Urchan. One of a number of players who have featured on either side of the Derby divide. Paulo Mitri, the City number 10, one of the others. Troy Danaskos on the bench for St George FC today. Good to see their captain will return via the substitutes bench after he was one of a handful of absentees last week. Rossello, he's been very busy early doors. Stefano Rossello breaking onto the right, teeing up McAteer, who just strayed into an offside position. Slight moments of frustration for Mirko Riurl. Of course, makes his return to the Penshurst Park dugout tonight. For the club, he guided through the ranks into the top flight of NPL New South Wales for the first time a couple of years ago. Mid-season on the sideline in place of Manny Spanadakis. They have turned to a familiar face to try and guide them back to finals this season. And they're going to guide their way back to finals after a ninth place finish out last year. They need to show a lot more than they did last week. Good challenge that time by Mason Tatafu, but he's turned it straight over. Low ball in. Oh, it's missed by Poon, and Kenny able to collect. This was some very handy goalkeepers on either side of the pitch tonight. Questions of a high boot from Stefano Rossello. Matt Staples allows play to continue. Antonis. Hopped on its way by Poon. True looking to reel it in, but Tatafu was first to it. Tatafu, one of 12 off-season signings for St George City, many of whom are out there tonight. McStay tried to poke it across for Casella. This has been a frenetic battle so far. Oh, and I should provide a quick update to my readout of the starting 11s for both sides. Dribble submitted 11s did have Kota Toyuka starting in place of Caden Wright, but you can see him with your own two eyes out there on the pitch right now. He retains his place at fullback. Toyuka has come into the side as well. Caden Wright couldn't get it right that time. Could the second. True, breaking away from Tatafu, darting the eyes up, drilling the ball low. It's missed by Wright. And it's collected by Brody Clarkson. Little dinks ball for Peterson. Not working out to the advantage of the Japanese striker. And his compatriot, Hiroto Damoto, is upended. And Staples quick to answer with the whistle. Just a confirmation of that other lineup change from last week. As mentioned, Caden Wright is there. It's Pat O'Shea who misses out today. St George FC vice captain. To come off around the hour mark of that 3-0 win against Wollongong. Without one of their most experienced heads. McAteer. The ball continues to zip about the surface at Penshurst Park. Where hopeful that tonight will continue what has been a goal-laden day so far in NPL New South Wales. '18 so far across 4 finished matches. Sydney Olympic putting 5 past SD Raiders. This is usually a game that does have its fair share of goals as well. As Urchan flicks that one out into safety. Of course, the head-to-head history is shorter between these two emergent, or in this emergent rivalry. It has never gone goalless. And both sides have found the net more often than not. We've never had less than 2 in this fixture. Antonis. Really good play from Rafael Marie's side. Although Sito has left the ball behind, and Antonis couldn't win it back. Sito able to atone. Calageru. Or Chris McStay. Jake True looking to haul it down, but Tatafu, in the opening 17 minutes that we're just about to tick over, is winning that battle so far. 2 players looking to impress for their new clubs. As McAteer has tried to be slipped in. He's done a fair share of that so far, has the youngster. He's fallen victim to the commentator's curse because he bowled over Kota Toyuka. A good response from St. George City so far. Towards the back post and missed by Casella. Tafu. It's a heavy pass from Brodie Clarkson, able to be kept alive by Solomon John Monaghan Viker. And McAteer has attempted to flick it to his own advantage, but Soros judging it well. True. Flicking into open space for Casella. And still driving forward is Jaden Casella. St. George FC star. It's a tantalising cross. McStay went for the acrobatics. And St. George City able to rid the danger. An engaging game. As yet, a 20 minutes of St. George derby action that has rather blown by. McStay sizing up the ball in. It's a confident claim from Jack Kenny, who is quick to set the hosts on their way. Hiroto Domoto, who along with Jon Peterson has arrived from J3, the third tier of Japanese football. Having played for Yokohama, I'll get it eventually, Yokohama Sports and Culture Club. It's the club where they were both teammates in yesteryear. Been able to shows familiarity in their link-up as yet. Tomoto is one of St. George City's more impressive players against Manly. Peterson found the going tough. So he looks to replace the gargantuan absence of Mark McNulty, the top scorer last season. Pass back, Caden Wright. Oh, it bounced awkwardly. Right into the face of Jack Kenny, who shakes the head at the awkwardness of it all. Jack Kenny nearly Kick that into orbit. It's come down for a Saints throw. Jake True has broken around one. It's True. It's a fantastic block by Tatafu. A towering central defender. Victorious. And they're coming together again. Mitri. Into open space for McAteer, but not for the first time. The youngster is found in an offside position. It's just his youthful exuberance perhaps getting the better of him. His first grade debut last season, Hugo McAteer, against Sydney Olympic at the back end of last season. Shaping as a more permanent fixture in the first grade side this season. It's been like Dodgem cars in the midfield of the Penshurst Park pitch so far. The boom crash opera, the challenges have been flying in at a rate of knots from every direction. Grouping without a goal so far. Casella is making the case to Matt Staples that he thought he was brought down illegally by Luis Michio. And for the first time tonight, Matt Staples has slightly different ideas to the St George FC side. Of course, this game is running concurrently to one other. I mentioned the number of goal-laden fixtures we've had across NPL New South Wales today. The other running in tandem with this one, similarly to this one, and still without a goal. Blacktown City and Manly United goalless as the halftime whistle approaches at Landon Stadium. And plenty of intent so far at Penshurst Park, which is lacking a bit of execution. Peterson could only head it to the advantage of the FC defence. That's a short back pass, so Soros hurried into a clearance. Nico Ural. I don't want to start the season without bringing his home fans to which he has come home, or to whom he has come home, without a goal to celebrate, especially after a goalless day out last time out. He'll be looking to rebuild an attack that has lost all of its top 4 scorers from last season. Tatafu. He's looked really good so far, it has to be said. Confident and assured in central defence. And who was playing in the Australian Championship for Bayswater City. There could be a break on for City here. Hugo McAteer marching forward. Lots of red shirts to aim at. He looks to the top of the box. Mitri! Oh, it's outstanding from Soros to get a big palm to it and deny Paolo Mitri what would have been an exceptional opener at Penshurst Park. As I was rattling off the list of names of players to have featured for both of these clubs, Paolo Mitri squarely in that list. scored in the first ever St George derby for FC all the way back in 2019. Could have become the first player to score on either side of the divide. Here comes the corner, up goes the header from Peterson, but it's flicks wide of goal. And that is what Palomitri has got in the locker. Only 2 goals last season, but one of the 2 against Manly at Cromer Park was spectacular. Looking to bring more goals in this season after a bit of a down year in that regard in 2025. St George City Centurion, who's lofted it into the penalty area, away by Caden Wright, only as far as the top of the box, but Brody Clarkson did not catch that one as desired. D'Amato. Michio. Rossello. It's another lovely turn from the former Manly man who blasted across the box. Any kind of touch could have been danger to the net of Nick Soros. Another side will be happy to be level. The neutral observer will be very entertained by the progressive play we've seen from both sides so far. It has been helter-skelter. This St George derby so far. Everything but an opening goal. True. Another player who, similarly to Jon Peterson on the opposite side of the formation for St George City, Jake True looking to fill the void of by Antonio after his 11-goal season last year. Jake True to recapture his goal-scoring form, just regular playing minutes form of a couple of seasons ago at Wollongong Wolves. Kind of form that caught the eye of Marconi, who brought him in last season, but found the opportunities more fleeting than he would have liked. D'Amato. Brody Clarkson. Down goes Palomitri, and Matt Staples is going to award a free kick in a position of promise for St George City. And I wager there will be no shortage of interested parties over this one at Penshurst. Four-player committee has just been halved in its numbers. Luis Michio and Palomitri both stand atop the dead ball. It's the kind of angle and approach that could suggest a cross or a shot could be on here. And it will be a cross, not a bad one either, but it's in advance of any of the waiting targets. A free kick that looked enterprising rather fizzles out. And you may notice next time the ball crosses halfway, the neon scoreboard on the opposite end here at Penshurst Park, which I note on the scoreboard still has the old St George FC logo. I don't know if those are mind games or just a bit of lackadaisicalness on the part of the scoreboard operator. do look for any attempt to poke fun at an opponent on Derby Day, I suppose. But St George FC could have the last laugh here as they look to come forward through Jake True. Does have a good goal-scoring record here at this venue. Has scored at Penshurst Park on 2 separate occasions, both back in Wolves colours. Some tidy turning from Paolo Mitri. Eventually the pressure pays for the visiting FC side, who did generate some surprise with their appointment in the off-season of Rafael Marie to replace Fabian Michelli. It's of course liked by Antonio. Made the move to Bankstown City. The side have shown plenty of promise so far. Of course, it is a return to FC for Rafael Marie. He was a championship-winning under-20s coach at Barton Park before leaving for NWS Spirits, where he's been the under-20s coach the past couple of seasons. When I say departing Barton Park, of course, at the time he left, it was probably still undergoing the redevelopments. Calageru. Jake True. That time he's got the beating of Tatafu. Tomoto comes in to win it back, and it's his central defensive teammates who has lost that particular one-to-one with Jake True, giving away the free kick. So Jaden Casella, the stand-in captain, standing over this one with their chief creators last season. The first goal scorer of this season, can't create another. A lackluster free kick by his standards. Jaden Casella coming off the back of a cracker season. 15 goal contributions, 10 goals, joint player of the season alongside Troy Danaskos. Here's the to add to the list of ex-St George City players. Actually helped bring them into the NPL in 2022 alongside the man you just saw pass the ball away, Nick Calageru. Poon forward to True. He's used his body cleverly and fired it across to Casella. Options for him to aim at. Casella instead goes short for Antonis. Trying to work it back. It's a pass that asks a lot of Casella, and now under pressure are the St George City defence. It's a snapshot from McStay. Caden Wright can't get anything out. And True manages to break away into open space and blazes away the cross. So a bit of a scare survived by the St George City defence. This Michio was being put well and truly under the cosh by Jaden Casella. absolutely not intended for Solomon John Monaghan-Viker. Nor was that one intended for McStay. A careless turnover, and now Jake True's on the march, but Michio's defending is better. Only initially, though. Casella to the byline. Good cross. Will it set up the back post? It's a firm strike from Justin Poon. Blocked by a sea of city bodies. Poon did score at Penshurst Park here last season. He's looking to create one now. And again, the St George City defence stands firm. It is increasingly starting to feel like it is a virtue of luck rather than system. Antonis. Delicate little pass for McStay, who couldn't keep it in stride. Nice little 5-minute spell this for the Saints. They turned up the heat on their local rivals. Only separated in the St George region by a handful of kilometres as the crow flies. Pretty short journey from Penshurst Park back to Barton. D'Amato on the march. Gets clear of a marker, D'Amato. Can't guide his effort on target. But plenty of intent, particularly on the wings from either side. Even ignoring the last 5 minutes where St George FC have had a really solid spell. Another full-time whistle to sound with the scores as they are now. I imagine Marco Ural will be the happier of the two head coaches. It's because this performance, by and large, has been so vastly improved from their opening day showing. Casella cut off by Michio. First full season at St George City for Lewis Michio. Turned back to Australia mid-season. Oh, that's been missed by Solomon John Monaghan-Viker. Poon marching forward now. And the Saints not really able to punish that rare lapse from former Mount Druitt man Solomon John Monaghan-Viker. Antonis. Oh, that's quality. Casella. Can they find the breakthrough this time? Jaden Casella, one crack, won't get a second. Away by Brody Clarkson. Quality ball to tee up Casella, though, by 166-time A-League veteran that is Terry Antonis. Casella lofts his own lovely switch for Justin Poon. Poon blazes away. All the wingers in this fixture so far still looking to get their eye in. It's been an odd sort of a game in the sense that the threat to either penalty area has felt high, but the actual number of saves that either keeper has had to make has been fairly minimal. In fact, Soros, I think, is the only keeper who has had to stop a shot as yet. Mitri thwarted momentarily by the Saints. Long throw from Monaghan Viker, away by McStay. Like Nick Soros has made the switch from Rockdale Illingdon this season. Quite a few former Rockdale players out there today. Jaden Casella, another. McStay got his St George FC stint off to a perfect start last week, scoring the second of their 3 goals, the Scotsman. Calageru. Caden Wright. So the first half nearly at a close at Penshurst Park. It's been a great St George derby day so far. A really gripping encounter that as yet remains goalless. Long throw looking for True, who's used his body well. Jake True strikes it against the post, and it's cleared off the line by Michio. Only a momentary reprieve. McStay blocked away. And that was the unrelenting persistence of Jake True, nearly paying off. Looked as though it might have been a lost cause. He still found a way to power an effort into the post. And then the rebound nearly went in through a combination of bodies. And now at the other end, there could be danger for St George FC. Swiftly in comes Jaden Cito to take it off the toes of Jon Peterson. Casella. Michio was uncompromising. True. A figurative and literal handful for St George City so far. Evan Souris. Space opened up for Poon. Now McStay. As quickly as they afforded the space St George City, they have closed it up. Antonis. This pass picked off comfortably. Clarkson is waiting for the runners to arrive. None of them really does. That's more like it from Michio. Nasty little step inside. Clarkson looking to flip the field. Will fall into the lap nicely of Hugo McAteer. He's onside this time. McAteer looking to slide onto that left foot. And that'll do it. The final act of an entertaining first 45 in the St George derby, which remains as open as ever for the 3 points on derby day. Both sides have given a good account of themselves. City starting the brighter, FC finishing the fastest. We head to the break, despite the best efforts of both sides. All square and all to play for in St George derby day. But on the basis of the opening 45 minutes evidence, you get the sense that goals are on the way. On the other side of the break, who are they falling for, though? That's what we will find out after a short intermission. See you for the second half on the other side. championship. That was before a stint with Hume City. After time spent in America. Started the year with the Long Island Rough Riders. They had some great names in the USL. That's a lovely ball for Paolo Mitri. It's a corner coming for St. George City. They had over half a dozen of them in the first half. Half a dozen of them in the opening 15 minutes. And actually, in truth, didn't make a great deal of them. D'Amato had 4 or 5 unsuccessful attempts. Ended up ceding corner duties to Stefano Rossello. What can the Japanese live wire produce this time around? D'Amato's delivery meets a St. George FC head. And it will sit at the top of the box. And it's a speculator from Brody Clarkson. He's not scored in NPL New South Wales in over 2 years. Would have needed a little bit more dip to bring that run to an end. Both sides were happy to explore passing it out from the back in the first half. Nick Soros marched his charges up that time. Foot race on. D'Amato, the man who wins it. Back for Erchan. Erchan sizing it up. It's another awkward bounce in front of the keeper, but Soros always favoured. It's just not what you like to see as a goalkeeper. Ball bouncing in front of you, especially on an artificial surface such as this. That was a firm challenge. All ball though to win the ball back for FC. Now Monaghan Viker's got a double back and he is able to head the thread off at the pass. But it's just a moment's peace for the City defence. True into Tafu. Toe to toe once more. And True just runs out of real estate. Has won his side a corner though. Flailing of the arm would suggest that that is a decision with which Mason Tatafu rather disagrees. In any case, across comes Jaden Casella to take the corner. Now played at Penshurst Park. Terry Antonis. Socceroo sizing it up. Caden Wright, delightful cross at the back post. McStay, one crack, a second crack. It's chaos in the box. City able to clear. A big save from Jack Kenny at the first instance. And Matt Staples spotted something he did not like. And that will bring about the first substitutes of the St. George derby. It's a double change for Miko Yurl. Hugo McAteer rather will leave alongside Paolo Mitri. McAteer ran hard in his first start of the season. Jesse Foti has come onto the field alongside Matt Jackson. Former Sutherland Shark. Jesse Foti was one of the players who was dropped to the bench today after that opening day defeat to Manly. So will he be playing with a point to prove? D'Amato. St. George City's most likely. Monaghan Viker. mention again that 11 previous meetings of the St George derby have never gone without a goal. Cross in from the right. Peterson touching it down, trying to feed Stefano Rossello. Not able to do so. Goalless in both games for your Saturday night in NPL New South Wales. Blacktown City and Manly United still goalless at Landon Stadium. That one heading towards its final knockings. This one still with plenty to play. On the goal-filled day of New South Wales football, these games yet to join the party. Troy Danaskos has come on, the captain, and fired a great switch. And now City heading the other way. Peterson charging forward and breaking past the defenders, but not breaking clear of Nick Suras. Antonis marshalling his charges. Urchan under pressure from McStay. You'll see that Harrison Farrow has come on up top as well. McStay! Oh, wow. Not far away from a special second of the season from Chris McStay. Jack Kenny at full stretch. And luckily his gloves not required. Interesting change from Raphael Marie. Justin Poon and Jake True, the players that he has taken off for Danaskos and Farrow. Great switch. Jesse Foti chopping it inside. Peterson. A laboured touch. Brody Clarkson. Fortomoto. Back to Clarkson. And Soros takes it in stride. Danaskos has cuffed it up. A rare error from him. And now Stefano Rossello twisting and turning. Foti. Monahan Viker now. Back at the feet of Foti. It was a rare miscue from Troy Danaskos. You don't see the Star St George captain make that error too often. Been a quality player for both of these teams. Got St George City promoted to the top flight. Well, not single-handedly, of course, but he did win the League One Championship with City before trading Penshurst Park for Barton. Danaskos. McStay's flick, an intelligent one. Launched forward in hope. And in execution for McStay. He's got the bit between his teeth now. It was a decent cross too. Call came to give the ball to Jaden Cito. Terry Antonis. Passed out to the weight of numbers. Foti scrambling away. Antonis. He is going to join Solomon John Monahan Viker in the book. There's perhaps a laboured challenge from the A-League veteran. Prior to last week's opening weekend win against Wollongong. It's gone 10 months since his last game of football. He's playing in the Thai First League with Utai Thani. Picks up an injury and has decided that NPL football is where he's going to be calling home in 2026. St George City's first grade team to have him in their ranks. It'll be invaluable for their young players, not just in this side, but in the youth ranks as well. He's said that he'll be helping out, coaching in the youth teams. And he's got defending to do. Foti forward for Rossello. Great fast feed it looks initially from Foti. Good challenge in. Toyuka. Farrow now. Scored off the bench last week. How he would love to do so on Derby Day. And he's upended by Tatafu. The visiting faithful asked the question. No answer provided by Matt Staples. Foti. It's been a handful since coming off the bench, but made it easy for Soros. Trying to pick a pass was Antonis for Farrow. I'd be surprised to see Antonis's number called shortly. He's looking it's along the leggy side at the moment. Maybe that's a case of coming to full fitness or additional injury, not entirely sure. Doesn't look as though there's any substitute activity on that Saints bench so far. Oh, and that could be trouble for Nick Caligiero. We didn't have any cards in the opening half. They've been handed out with willing abandon by Matt Staples in the second half. Foti nipped in at that ball in advance of Nick Caligiero. It's going to give a decent free kick up to St George City. Yeah, over on the left-hand side of the City attack, Tarek Ercan and Luis Michio are the two-man team looking to collaborate on this. Matt Jackson has just joined them. And both of them have cleared the lane for Luis Michio. Michio's ball in. Headed away. Rossello. Easy pickings for Nick Soros. There's been quite a few occasions tonight where the ball has fallen out. Two players on the top of the penalty area, but no players have been able to make the most of those opportunities. Paulo Mitri went the closest in the first half from that sort of range. McStay whistled a shot wide as well. But with 20 minutes to go, St George Derby remains anyone's for the taking. On by Jon Peterson. Still finding his feet, it feels, in NPL New South Wales. Now Farrow and Tatafu contestant in the air. Foti looking to turn on the Jets and get around Jaden Cito. Foti, well, Cito did just about enough. Danaskos. That's well out of play. Danaskos, having missed the opening game of the season, will be eager to make up for the lost time, and it could be a big chance for St George City brewing here. McStay's just missed the ball. Danaskos back to Antonis. Can he find a second wind? Well, he's still going forward here. Terry Antonis cuts it inside. Couldn't find Farrow. McStay. Danaskos bending to the back post. Casella, Jaden Casella. Always a tough angle with the ball dipping as it was. And even a player the quality of Jaden Casella. He's played in the A-League 20 times for the Central Coast Mariners. Couldn't fashion that one into an effort that tested Jack Kenny. Not to labour the point, and it really does not feel like it shall be a game that has no winner. The intent is too strong from either side, but also called enough games to know the power of the commentator's curse. So let's see. Antonis, a launch in hope rather than pure tactical intent. Farrow, his first touch, a smart one for Danaskos. That's a great ball in from the teenager as well, but McStay guilty of trying to be a bit too clever. And now here comes Matt Jackson flying down the left for St George City. Heads in field, Brody Clarkson. Clarkson picks a pass to Motto, denied by some outstanding last-ditch defending. Superb work in the St George FC back four by Nick Caligiero, who of course is one of those players on a card, had to get that right, and did. In comes the corner. Soros was cutting a nervy figure for a moment. D'Amato won't be able to pick it up at the second time of asking. Not for a lack of trying from him. Micho, the last man back. St George FC will have a sub making their way on the field soon. Nice little spray. Troy Danaskos trying to bomb forward into a goal-scoring position. Even though he is often a defensively positioned player, in a more advanced role tonight, he's got goal-scoring capacity in abundance. Something this game needs. Ball in, looking for Foti, who's offside. Flag was already up before that shot came in. Now we'll see that sub come to fruition. And it is indeed the absentee earlier flagged, Sari Antonis, who's been good today, but definitely was flagging. Socceroos Day comes to an end. Soros brings us back into play. And just confirming that Antonis' replacements is a club debutant for St George FC. Harry Keys getting his first minutes in the St George FC shirts. Arrives off the back of a premiership winning season with his junior club NWS Spirits. Broke through the ranks last year, won the premiership, scored some very important goals as well. Coming here in search of more first team football this year at Barton Park. And they've got their hands on a quality youngster. And then he and Harrison Farrow, the 19-year-old who just knocked the ball off. We've got two in their front line now. McStay. Danaskos has just added an extra bit of quality to this side. McStay manages to find a way to turn out of trouble. Couldn't thread the needle for Casella. Looks as though he'll shuffle his way across to the left-hand side to allow Harry Keys to attack the right. Only 3 times this game has ever been drawn. All of them have been goal draws. Danaskos. Well, it had to be a good block from Solomon John Monaghan-Viker because it was struck firmly by Danaskos. Will send his side to the flags where Chris McStay will be looking to set up the game's opening goal. Kenny able to launch the ball off what is a very low-hanging net, it must be said, at Penshurst Park. We have seen late drama in this fixture before. St George FC struck in stoppage time a couple of seasons ago to snatch a point at Penshurst Park, courtesy of Aidan O'Shea. Getting towards late goal territory here as well. Sent in by McStay. Great shape to it too. Kalajeru, McStay, and overcooked by Troy Danaskos. And will that give Mikko Ural the chance to make Jesse Foti was rather scythed down in defence. Ten minutes to go in the St George derby. Can either side make Derby Day their own, take a precious 3 points at Penshurst? Headed clear by Caden Wright. It's a big opportunity for either side should they reach out and take all 3. St George City would be off the mark for the season. Letting the disappointment of the opening day fade away. St George FC would have back-to-back wins to start the season. In a season where they are hoping to make headlines. And after nearly a full weekend of football, they would be one of the only teams who could say that they won both games to start the season. As it stands, Sydney United, the only team who have done that after they upset the Apple Carts in the Shire. Lots of play for still here in South Sydney. Danaskos will atone for his error. And then nearly gave it straight back away, but it's kept alive. Keys. Clever little manoeuvre. Casella. we crescendoing to a tantalising late finish in the St George derby. Still plenty of appetite to win out there. But it is a 30-game season. I do wonder if either of these two managers might decide that at some point what we have we hold. And that is not usually the attitude on Derby Day. Farrow in a foot race with Tatafu, who decides for the safe option of getting it away from the toes of the teenager and bundling it out for a corner kick. There's been a phase of play from which neither side have really been able to bring the best out of themselves. Can Chris McStay be the man to change that? McStay moves it in, it's straight into the man at the front post. Troy Danaskos. It was a smart run. Wabi just knocks it straight out of play. Coming off a great year, Matthew Wabi, a real breakout season for the 21-year-old. 28 appearances last year. Switching ball in search of Harry Keys. Calageru. Casella looking to link up with Keys. Such an entertaining player to watch, Jaden Casella. Always looking to play well with others. Those lightning quick link-ups working. And Keys still going. He's proving a tricky customer, Harry Keys. Out of play it goes. Desperate defending the order of the day from St George City. Kenny will bring the lines up. It's goalless still into stoppage time at Blacktown between Mark Crittenden's men and Manly United. Foti turns on the Jets and can't guide it towards goal. He's always fighting a losing battle there with the angles available. Surely we could not end a night of NPL New South Wales football Saturday Night Fever with no goals. It can't go on like this, surely. Perhaps it can. But if only one game is going to end goalless between the two we've got on offer, I'll be putting my money on it not being this one. Solomon John Monaghan Viker readying a long launch. And launch in he does. Shown with a side-footed attempt. And a good attempted win in the air. Tatafu. Touching it back to Kenny. He decides to clear. Harrison Farrow was closing quickly. Does have a fair bit of pace for a tall player. Wabi. Missed by the feet of Bray Ovens, but that worked out to the advantage of Jesse Foti. He's used the space vacated by Peterson. Clever work though from McStay. Casella was upended, no whistle from Matt Staples. Monaghan Viker. Back on the ball for Foti. Scrapping with Sito. 23-year-old fullback winning out. McStay setting a task for Harrison Farrow. That will force Keys into a retreat. And all he'll be able to do is try and defend as D'Amato marches forward. Ercan. Wabi. Test of character and desire in the final few minutes. Stoppage time as well to come. How much do either of these sides want the 3 points on Derby Day? Bray Ovens. Patch of space to work with. Picks a pass for Peterson. And he runs out of room. Begin to cast our eyes towards James Macris to see how much time might be added on. Although I say we might cast our eyes towards James Macris. I don't think I've actually seen a substitutes board in effect this evening. And a late substitution for St George FC has made sure of that fact for me. And Souris vacating the field of play. Suspect that may well be a final change of the night for Raphael Marie. And there's a change that has brought young Javier Rodriguez onto the field. He's been elevated into the senior side on a permanent basis this season. Players player of the season in the under-20s last year. A young talent looking to show what he can do. It's all finished at Landon Stadium. Goalless between Blacktown and Manly. And the two sides of the St George Derby divide. There is a board. There we go. 3 minutes of stoppage time added on by James Macris. Three minutes for these two teams in this hotly contested battle of the region to avoid suffering the same fate as what we saw over at Landon Stadium. Long ball launched in. Headed clear. McStay breaks away, launches it over the top for Farrow. Kenny with some alert and agile goalkeeping. A minute of stoppage time already elapsed. Is there a chance in the offing for either of these two sides to steal it late? Stoppage time goals, and decisive ones, have occurred before in this game at Penshurst. And out it goes from Kota Toyuka. George FC have got the Sutherland Sharks coming up next week. St George City away to Sydney Olympic. Launch it in. It's slowed down in the box. It's alive for Ercan. It's not the desired contact from Jorn Peterson. He will be denied his chance for a first St George City goal that would have arrived at the perfect time. How generous is Matt Staples feeling? Well, we're going to find out. St George FC will get a set piece of their own, but they're going to choose to take it short. Toyuka surges into the space afforded to him. McStay. Danaskos now. It's a delightful delivery. It's driven away by Brody Clarkson. Casella. Wants access and opening for a cross. One last push perhaps for St George FC. Is it their time on Derby Day for just the second time in 9 head-to-head meetings? Are we destined for the first ever goalless draw on St George Derby Day? We are. The spoils shared at Penshurst Park. Despite the best efforts of either side to claim the bragging rights in the St George region, it ends all square after a hard-fought and entertaining 90 minutes. It did see chances for either side to score. The first half, a real lively affair that saw either sides denied by, in St George City's case, good goalkeeping. In FC's case, a lick of paint off the post after Jake True fired it into the frame of goal. Second half a little bit more cagey, chances harder to come by. Both sides will come away from Derby Day left to rue what might have been. We hope despite the lack of goals, you've still enjoyed your evening's entertainment. We're going to sign off now from Penshurst Park, the full-time score on Derby Day. St George City 0, St George FC 0.